how do you really measure success? Whether it's a growing startup, a huge corporation, or maybe even just like a personal fitness goal. For ages in business, the answer seemed pretty simple.
Yeah.
Just look at the numbers.
Yeah. Profit, sales growth, market share. Those were kind of the go-to metrics.
They were the gold standard. But what's interesting is that leading thinkers now are saying, well, maybe that's not quite enough anymore.
Exactly. And those numbers, while obviously still super important, they don't really paint the full picture, do they?
No, they don't. And that's the big shift we're seeing in strategy. Because financial figures, well, they're backward-looking, aren't they?
Right.
They tell you what already happened.
Lagging indicators, yeah.
Right, not where you're headed. Plus, and this is fascinating, they can get really skewed by accounting rules. You remember that Rolls-Royce example?
Oh, yeah, the IFRS change. Huge difference.
A massive 900 million difference in reported profit, just based on how they recognize revenue. Yeah. It really makes you think.
It does. And if you only focus on those past numbers, you risk falling into that trap of managerial myopia.
Short-termism.
Exactly. Managers might cut back on vital long-term stuff like R&D or training just to make the next quarter's profits look good.
Which, in the long run, can seriously hurt the company.
Definitely jeopardizes its future health.
So in today's world, which is, let's face it, incredibly competitive, companies really need performance systems that look forward.
Yeah.
Systems tied directly to what's going to make them successful down the road, their strategic goals.
Right. So the key questions become, what are those critical areas? And how on earth do you measure them effectively beyond just the profit and loss statement?
And that is exactly what we're digging into today. We're going to unpack Fitzgerald and Moon's building block model.
It's a really interesting one. You can think of it as kind of an evolution from the balanced scorecard, which many people know.
Right, Kaplan and Norton's model.
Yeah, but this one's specifically tailored for service businesses. It's designed to help management connect the dots between the big picture strategy, the day-to-day objectives, and even employee targets, and crucially, motivation.
And to make it really concrete, we're going to use a case study. SmartCourier, they're a package delivery company in a place called Maxland.
Been around a while, since 1970. Pretty big player there.
Yeah, one of the largest. And they've got a clear mission, basically exceed customer expectations with top quality competitive service.
And they offer quite a range, don't they? Standard overnight, a faster premium service for 10:30 a.m. delivery.
And even a slower, cheaper 3-day option. So flexibility there.
Plus, they're pretty tech savvy. They launched a smartphone app for booking pickups. Got some good press for it.
But here's the rub.
Yeah.
Despite all that, their profits have actually dipped recently.
Competition.
Exactly. Big global players have moved into Maxland, really heating things up. So for SmartCourier, having a really solid, forward-thinking performance system isn't just nice to have anymore.
No, it's essential for survival, basically.
Right. So let's get into the model itself. The building block model. You mentioned 3 core areas.
Yeah, that's right. It breaks performance down into 3 interconnected blocks: dimensions, standards, and rewards.
Dimensions, standards, rewards. Okay. So dimensions first. If financials are looking back, what are we looking at here? What should a company like SmartCourier be measuring?
Well, the model cleverly splits dimensions into 2 types. First, you have results. These are, the outcomes of things you've already done.
So like financial performance.
Exactly. Profits, returns for shareholders, that's key. And also competitiveness. Are you holding on to or maybe even gaining market share? That's a result too.
Okay, so results are the outcomes. What's the other type?
Those are the determinants. And this is where it gets really forward-looking. These are the things that drive future good results.
So the levers you can actually pull.
Precisely. Fitzgerald and Moon identified 4 key ones: quality of service, innovation, flexibility, and resource utilization.
Quality, innovation, flexibility, resource utilization. Got it. These are the things you invest in today for tomorrow's payoff.
Yeah, you can't just manage by looking at the profit number at the end. You have to manage the things that create that profit.
Makes sense. So let's apply this to SmartCourier. For results, obviously, as a listed company, profit and returns are crucial.
Non-negotiable for shareholders.
And with those new competitors flooding in, competitiveness, meaning market share, is suddenly front and center.
Absolutely critical for them right now. Now think about their determinants. Quality. Well, for a courier, that's huge. On-time delivery builds loyalty.
Right, that's their bread and butter. And flexibility. We saw that with their different service options.
Yep, catering to different needs. Then there's innovation. The smartphone app, perfect example. Investing in tech, improving processes. And finally, resource utilization.
Using their vans, their staff, their money efficiently. Especially important when competition drives prices down.
Exactly. So you see, these determinants, quality, flexibility, innovation, resource use, they aren't just nice ideas. For SmartCourier, they directly feed into whether they make money and whether they can compete.
It forces them to see the connections, which just looking at the profit wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm. A purely financial view would miss all that nuance.
Okay, so we've identified the dimensions,
Yeah.
the what to measure, but how do you actually put a number on something like quality or innovation? That sounds tricky. That's standards, right?
That's exactly where standards come in. Once you know your dimensions, you need to set specific benchmarks or targets the performance metrics.
The actual goals.
Right. And when setting these standards, the model says you have to consider 3 crucial things. First is ownership.
Meaning who's actually responsible for hitting that target.
Precisely. If it's unclear who owns a target, it often just doesn't get done. Accountability is key.
Okay, ownership. What's next?
Achievability. Are the targets realistic? If you set the bar impossibly high.
People just give up. Motivation tanks.
Exactly. It has to feel doable, even if it's a stretch. And the third one is equity.
Equity, meaning fairness.
Yeah. Can these standards be used to compare performance fairly across different parts of the company or different people? If the system feels unfair, morale just plummets.
Okay, ownership, achievability, equity. Let's think about SmartCourier again. For financial performance, what kind of standards could they set for, say, their regional managers?
Well, they could aim for something like 8% annual sales growth in that region, or maybe a 14% return on investment.
They could even use league tables, maybe. Rank the regions.
Yeah, that's possible, though you have to be careful with internal competition sometimes. For competitiveness, especially now.
With the new guys in town?
They could measure their absolute market share. So SmartCourier's revenue compared to the total market revenue in Maxland, a realistic target might just be to hold their current share. That'd actually be a win in this climate.
Right. Just maintaining position is tough sometimes. What about quality? How do you set a standard for that?
For the delivery agents, a clear standard could be, say, 98% of deliveries made on time.
Okay. Measurable.
Or for the call center staff, maybe an average time to take an order like under 3 minutes. But again, these need to feel fair and achievable to the people doing the job.
Got it. And resource utilization.
Efficiency standards like average time per delivery or maybe number of deliveries per driver per day.
But the equity part is important here, isn't it? A driver in a dense city center might find it easier to hit a high number of deliveries than someone in a spread out rural area.
Exactly. The system needs to account for those differences to be fair. Maybe adjust targets based on territory.
Makes sense. And flexibility, how would you measure that?
Maybe a target like, say, 90% of customer requests for specific pickup or delivery times are met.
Okay. And innovation. The app?
Yeah, they could track the percentage of customers who are actually using the app. That shows adoption.
So these standards give concrete benchmarks for all those dimensions.
Right. So you know what you're aiming for?
Okay, so we have the dimensions, what to measure, and the standards, how to measure it. But what actually makes people want to hit those targets? That brings us to rewards, doesn't it?
It does. This block connects everything to the HR side of things. It asks, does the way we reward people, compensation, recognition, everything, actually drive them to achieve the standards we've set?
And like the standards, there are criteria here too.
Yep. 3 key ones again. First, clarity. Is the whole reward system easy to understand?
So people know exactly how their performance is judged and what they need to do to get a bonus or recognition.
Exactly. No fuzzy lines, clear triggers for rewards. Second is motivation.
Does the reward actually make people want to strive for the goal?
Right. Is the reward desirable enough? And importantly, do employees feel they can actually influence the outcome? If they feel powerless, even a big bonus won't motivate them.
Which links perfectly to the third one, controllability.
You got it. Do employees have real control over the things they're being measured on? If you're judging them on factors outside their influence.
It's like, say, a global economic downturn affecting sales.
They'll just switch off. Why bother trying if it's out of your hands?
So clarity, motivation, controllability for rewards. How does SmartCourier stack up here based on what we know?
Well, it seems like they actually have a pretty decent system in place. They call it a dynamic compensation package.
Sounds good. What's in it?
It's a mix. Financial stuff like share options, bonuses tied to goals, commissions.
Okay, standard stuff, but important.
But also non-financial things, public recognition, flexible work schedules, and they're even trying out on-site childcare.
Wow, it's quite comprehensive. Childcare could be huge for some employees.
Absolutely. That kind of diverse package is smart because different things motivate different people, right?
Yeah, childcare for parents, flexibility for others,
Yeah.
it hits different needs.
And having goal-based incentives directly links rewards to hitting those standards we talked about, which should boost motivation.
Definitely. But they still need to nail the clarity and controllability parts.
Right. Crucial. They need to make sure everyone understands exactly how the rewards work, that the targets are agreed upon, maybe in appraisal meetings, and that people genuinely feel they can influence their results. No point having great rewards if the system feels like a confusing or rigged game.
So putting it all together, the building block model, like some other modern frameworks, it connects the big strategic goals to those forward-looking, often non-financial measures.
It gets you beyond just looking at the bottom line.
But what makes this model really stand out, you'd say, is how it explicitly pulls in the reward system.
Exactly. It doesn't just stop at setting targets. It forces you to think about how you're going to motivate people to achieve them. It aims to create this whole integrated framework where individual goals, the standards for them, and the rewards are all clearly linked and understood, all pulling in the direction of the overall strategy.
It closes that loop from strategy to measurement to action to motivation and reward.
A really holistic view.
So a final thought for you, the listener. Think about something in your own life, maybe a team project at work, a personal goal you've set, or, I don't know, even how you try to manage chores at home. How could applying this kind of building block thinking change things? Not just focusing on the final outcome, the result.
But also really thinking about the determinants, what actually drives success there, and setting clear standards to track progress.
And crucially, figuring out the rewards, what truly motivates you or the people you're working with to keep going and hit those standards. How might that shift your approach to achieving success in the long run? Something to think about.